We are back on MorningLine. Gabriela Lira is with us, real estate broker, knows her stuff. We're taking your phone calls if you want to join in the conversation, but talking about the impact interest rates are going to have. So you made it clear that because of the fact that interest rates are going up, fewer people, at least locally or in general, are buying. They're pulling back a little bit because it's costing them more. But you don't think that means that homes aren't going to sell. What's replacing the purchasers there?
Well, one, homes will take longer to sell.
Okay.
We still have a big pool of buyers. But now you're going to start seeing the institutional buyers like American Homes for Rent, for example, come in and buy a lot of these homes. They have less competition, they have more negotiation power, and also there will be more renters flooding the market.
See that, and that's already been going on to some degree, but you're saying with this, I mean, it's already been complained, I've done stories on this where folks have complained that these properties were all of a sudden bought up in a huge swath by these big companies that have a lot of money, can do it, and all of a sudden they're renting them all out. What changes the dynamic? There's nothing wrong with renters, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a nomadic existence, and typically renters don't care as much about a neighborhood because they're short-term as someone who lives there.
That's right.
So if I'm living somewhere, I prefer to live in a neighborhood where people own their homes as opposed to nothing but renters.
Yeah, it creates a more transient community.
Right.
A lot of times renters don't keep up the properties as well as owners do. So it completely changes the dynamics of neighborhoods when you have so many homes owned by these institutional buyers who are then turning around and renting them.
Okay, and as I said, that was already happening, but you're saying now with interest rates and this change, it's going to increase exponentially.
Absolutely.
Holy cow. So do you encounter that when you're in the field?
All the time. One, when I list homes, I do get offers from some of these institutional buyers. And I was running comps the other day for a client that's trying to sell in Spring Hill. So I was looking at the sales in the last 6 months so that we could price their home correctly. And a lot of the buyers for these homes were institutional buyers. And I just thought, oh my gosh, the neighborhood, what is going to happen now? I know,
I feel bad for that. Now, of course, you're representing the seller. And if one of these institutional buyers comes and they're offering the most money, and the seller, I mean, it's their choice who they sell to, but a lot of times they're going to take the money, and I totally understand that.
Yes, and all the time I have to act in the best interest of my client, but there are people who put their foot down and who say, you know what, no, I don't want to sell.
So you have some clients who say, I want to sell to a family of 4 that wants to move in here and live here. I don't want to sell to some institutional buyer that's just going to start renting this out.
They're not that specific, but they do say.
Like, what do they say? Yeah, like
they say, you know, I want to sell to a regular person. I don't want to sell to this company.
Okay, and the thing is, if you choose to go that route, I mean, you're going to be able to find that, won't you? I would think. I mean,
there
you
are
can make
still
that
buyers
call
out there.
Yeah, especially because those institutional buyers are coming in. Hopefully, there's not as much competition. They think they'll get a better deal.
That's right.
So, you know, if you're selling, and again, I don't know if I were in that position, I would tell you, we're not selling to an institutional buyer, period. And the truth is, I have the ability to do this. I would take less money than sell to one of those clowns. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
It's about principle.
It's not, well, it's principle, and it's not good overall.
Yeah, it's
now, you're going to say
good.
it's the American way, and they're not doing anything illegal or wrong.
Correct.
But I am not going to foster that. But I understand why someone, if they're offering the most money, takes that. I do offer that. So that's one of the trends that we see going in that direction. Now, if someone is out there right now, one of the big issues, there were individuals that thought they'd like to sell and cash in on what they can get on their home right now because they've made so much money. I mean, there are people who bought their homes 2 years ago, and their homes are worth $200,000 or $300,000 more already.
That's right.
The problem then would be, okay, that's great if you sell now, but where are you going to go? Are you willing to leave the area? Then maybe that works out. You want to move to Alabama or something like that. But otherwise, you're turning around and having to buy, and you're in the same buyer's market or seller's market, right?
That's right. And there are strategies that we can take to make that process easier.
How do you do that? That's kind of what I was wondering. So someone wants to sell, they want to cash in on this, and they're coming to you and saying, we'd like to get another home. Yeah, I don't know, they may be looking to downsize. Or maybe, you know, they think they're going to have a child and they want to buy a bigger home. What are the strategies?
So there are 2 major strategies that we can take. One of them is they can get a bridge loan. So that means that they don't have to sell their current home before they buy because they get a loan on the equity of the home to be able to buy before they sell.
Okay.
And the second one is we could get post-close occupancy for the seller, meaning that the buyer is allowing the seller to stay in the home for X amount of months after they've closed. So now as a buyer for a new home, you have the money from the sale of your home to be able to have more leverage when buying a home.
Yeah, because isn't that the trick sometimes for so many people? It's like trying, and it's really hard, to match up exactly the window of selling your home with buying and finding another home.
It's an art.
It is an art. It's tricky, you know. I've been caught up in that a couple times. Sometimes it's worked out great. Other times I end up having to move a bunch of my possessions into a pod and live in an apartment short term.
No one wants to move twice.
It's the pits. But it is an art to doing that. So those are the two options where you can try to line it up. Most of the time, folks are willing to work with you on that, I guess, if they want a home badly enough.
Yes.
Are there any untapped into what's going to be an area, if it even still exists in Davidson County, that is going to see more growth because it hasn't been hit as hard as some of the others, and maybe you can still find a semi-affordable property? Does that exist in Davidson County anymore?
I'll tell you, it's getting harder and harder. There are still some areas of North Nashville, South Nashville, where, you know, you can get a reasonably priced home comparatively. But Davidson County is becoming, you know, prices are high.
Yeah. Do you ever watch any of those flipping shows on the Magnolia channel? Or
I watch the flipping shows. I watch the $1 Million Listing shows.
Okay, my wife gets into them, and so I follow them too. And it's interesting, you've noticed a transition to that. There were a couple of programs that were shot here in Nashville, and they did that. And they're now more about just fixing up homes. The flipping shows can't happen anymore because all the inventory is bought up. Remember that, you know, you go into some of these neighborhoods and there's this old house and we got it for $70,000. We're going to fix it.
Yeah, in order for a flip to make sense, you have to buy right? You have to buy low.
Right. Is that
and
gone?
in this market, that is extremely difficult. What I have been seeing is high-end renovations, right? Where maybe Westmead, it's priced at 1.5, 1.3. So it's a little bit too high for a builder to come in and buy up the land, but it's okay for someone who wants to flip the house, come in and renovate it, and then turn around and sell it.
And that's a great example, but that's just another indication that affordable housing is dead.
Yeah, I mean, people are paying $1 million for a lot.
Yeah. I mean, $1 million for a lot. I think we reported, last week that the middle price for a home in Nashville is over $400,000.
Oh yeah, very close to $500,000 now.
I'm just speechless, and that's the middle price. Are there any homes in the area that are below $250,000? I have a friend that I believe bought the last home that was for under $300,000 in Mount Juliet 4 years ago. You know, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, and that's in Wilson County, of course.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely getting harder and harder to find those, and maybe that's a fixer-upper condo somewhere in South Nashville, but I haven't seen that price point in a while.
That's amazing. We'll take a call or two if people want, you know, ask a question about their home, real estate, whatever along those lines. What is your home worth these days? Marie, good morning, Marie.
Yes.
Hi, Marie. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
I have a question regarding making offers on a home because so many of my friends and family in the area have lost out on homes to cash offers, and I'm just curious if it's even still possible to get your offer accepted if you don't have cash.
Great question. Thank you.
Great question.
Go for it, yeah.
Yes, it is. Now, when the market started getting hot, our lenders started doing something called upfront underwriting. So in the past, you would provide the lender with some self-reported data. They'd say, well, based on this data, I think you qualify for $400,000. Go ahead and start shopping. Once you found the home, you were under contract, then you'd go back to the lender and they'd ask you for all the supporting documentation, tax returns, proof of income, all the things that they need to really process your loan. Well, nowadays, they're doing all that processing or underwriting, if you will, before you even find the house. And this is great for you because instead of having a pre-approval now, you have a loan guarantee, which is as good as cash. And they're able to close more quickly, some as quickly as 10 business days. So there you go. Now you're competitive with a cash offer, because what can a cash offer do? They can close quickly and it's less risk for the seller. So now you are also less risk for the seller. The bank is guaranteeing your loan. And you can close very fast.
Okay, and again, just so folks understand, a cash offer is someone who comes along and says, I've got this $400,000, we're ready to go right now, approved, I've got the money to back it up, and I will give that to you right now. So what you said is someone that's in this situation now can, in the past, when you didn't have what you just described, it would be contingent, things like that?
That's right. You just get a pre-approval based on perhaps them running your credit and you telling them, this is how much I make and here are my assets.
Yeah, but sometimes then things don't always work out.
That's right. Or maybe you didn't know about something in your credit report because you haven't looked at it in a while or ever.
Okay, so but what you just described that someone can do now is, what do you call that again?
Upfront underwriting.
Upfront underwriting.
Yes.
Now you have to have the credit to do that, to pull that off, right? Obviously, to be approved.
Sure. Yeah, you need to be credit worthy.
But upfront underwriting, because I'll tell you, now this is in Florida, but I had a cousin who and his new wife put in an offer, and they thought, oh, we offered $30,000 over, and we were ready to go, and they were stunned when they didn't get it. And I said, yeah, welcome to the club. Are there a lot of people that bid over, or she, I guess, was describing, she knows people that have lost out to cash offers left and right?
Oh, people are still bidding over. I will say that that is going to taper off here. As homes sit on the market longer, buyers are seeing that as an indicator that they can go in and negotiate the price.
All right, we'll take a break on that note. When we come back, more phone calls, more of our conversation with Gabriela Lira about real estate in this market right after this.